Start with a piece of Romanian point lace cording, approximately 4 inches long. We're going to be folding it in half to use it on each end to hook our banner up, to hang our banner up. Go straight into the trim that you did and use those chains between the flower sets and do 4 single crochets straight off of the Romanian point lace cording. Do a chain 2, 1, 2, skip the center part of the petals, and then go to the next chain between the flowers and do 4 more single crochets. Do that for 3 flower sets to hang over on the end of a flag. If you couldn't tell from the video, I am working up the back side of the trim piece. Then grab your Y flag. I know I filmed doing the J flag. I had to undo it, but I didn't want to refilm. But because we're working left to right, we're going to be spelling our joy backwards. So bear with me here while I attach my J flag. But yes, you want your Y flag. On this chain 3, you want to get underneath the chain 3 on the trim and then start single crocheting to the top of your flag. You're still going to do 4 single crochets between the flower sets, grabbing the flag at the same time. Got one more to do here. There we go, getting the flag. And then you're going to do 2 single crochets in the top of the flag. And here I'm grabbing another strand because it kind of pulled and made it too large of a space. Then skip the flower set and again going under the chain on the trim and grabbing stitches on the flag, do 4 more single crochets. You're going to continue in this manner across the top of the entire flag for the total amount of flower sets that you previously made for each flag top. Mine was 9. So once I get a couple of the chain 3s here connected, I'm going to count out the 9 flower sets and I'm going to pin the 9th one to the other side of my flag. Doing that right here. That way I can space out my stitches. Also, the single crochets into the flag, you're going to have a couple, like 2 in each stitch top. It won't be just 1 in each stitch top of the flag. I can't really give you a stitch count for these because we have different widths of flags and different amounts of flower sets. So you just need to evenly space these single crochets across the top of your flag. But to give you an idea of a pattern repeat, it will be 4 single crochets in the chain space, attaching it to the flag at the same time, 2 single crochets in the top of the flag, not using the trim piece, and then 4 single crochets in the next chain space. And here we are at the other end. So between the flags, we'll do 4 single crochets in the chain space of the trim piece, a chain 2 to skip the flower set, and then 4 single crochets in the next chain space between the flower sets. And you'll do that until you have 3 flower sets that are not attached to any flags. Once you have the 3 flower sets skipped, it's time to grab another flag. But I wanted to show you, this is what it will look like from the front. The trim just lays out flat, and then yes, here is my Y flag, and this is what it looks like in the back. To start the next chain space, grab your next flag, your O that goes in the middle, and repeat the same process. Again, 4 single crochets in the chain space, attaching it to the flag as you go, and then 2 single crochets on the flag by itself without the trim, and then skip the flower set, and between the flower sets you'll do 4 more single crochets. Again, once you get one flower set, one or two, attached to your flag, go ahead and count out your flower sets and pin them to the other side of your flag so you can evenly space your stitches. The trim piece between the flags is where we will be sewing our flowers to. So this here, so that will be covered up by a poinsettia. When you get to the other end of your trim piece, we're going to turn it and we're going to do slip stitches. So go ahead and do a slip stitch in the single crochets, and this will help hold it together. It's quite stretchy right now, and so I did the slip stitches to help bring those single crochets tighter so that when we hang it up, the flags won't really droop. And here's an example of that. Here are the slip stitches, and they don't give very much. But if I move down to where it's just the single crochets, there's a lot of give. Next, when we get to the slip stitches that go across the top of the flag, we'll want to tack down our trim piece to hold the top of it up. So you'll do a few slip stitches, and then you're going to grab the space between the flower sets, grab one strand and tack it down. I'll show you right here. So here's the trim piece pulled up, and I want to tack down about every other one. So I'll do some slip stitches where the slip stitch is even with the space between the flower sets. So I'm going to do a couple more here. And then I'm going to grab one strand from that space and do my slip stitch with that one strand. Then I'll continue doing slip stitches until I skip one and then go past the next one and then tack it down in the center. So continue slip stitching and tacking down your trim across the top of the flag. Then when you get between the flags, go back to doing slip stitches in each of the single crochets. And actually you'll do one slip stitch in that chain 2 space between the flower sets till you get to the other flag, and then repeat that, slip stitching and tacking down the trim. Then do the space between the next 2 flags, do the next flag, and then you've got this last end piece. Slip stitch until you get to your Romanian point lace cording that you started off with, and then you'll fasten off. Then I'll show you how to sew the Romanian point lace cording to make a loop so that you can hang your banner. We'll need to make one more piece of Romanian point lace for the other side, and then I'll show you how to sew that on as well. Here's my other piece of Romanian point lace cording. It's about 4 or 5 inches long. I just held it up to my other one to see that it was approximately the same size. Leave the tails at both ends for sewing.